Hello, this is Will. I'm an alcoholic. This is a little 7-8 minute story of how I got sober and what happened. I left off last time. I'd headed to Copac over in Jackson, north of Jackson, Mississippi, more in that Flowwood area. And got out there. I had learned that they're not to buck the system. So I said, "Oh, I'll be out of here in about 30 days." They all laughed at me, and next thing they said, "Oh man, it's a 6-month program." Like I said, I learned to buck the system, and I ended up. I said, "Okay, cool, that's all right." In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, "Yeah, I ain't gonna be here that long. I can't afford it." I was paying cash for treatment and had some cigarette stores. I was already in bad shape. I spent $500,000 partying. It was I couldn't I couldn't spend that kind of money on getting sober at that point in my life. Now, it was the best part. I always kid around, and I spent $30,000 to get sober, and got out and started going to AA, and could have got out of a $5 book. But I'm not knocking treatment. It did what it was supposed to do. It kept me away from people, places, and things for 65, 70 days. I'm not real sure how long I was ended up going, but I did leave that treatment center against their advice, and I was probably there about 30, 35 days there. Like I said, I don't exactly remember. And I had a roommate that brought me some stuff, and I said, "Hang on, I think I'll go with you," and I did. And that was I was ready to get out of there. I'd gotten bored. I was getting in trouble. There was this guy named Decker that was in there, and he's from Atlanta, and he's a crack addict. And me and him hit it off pretty good, and we ended up being the only ones in the bungalow. And Copac was a pretty good treatment center, really. They broke you down and taught you how to live. They gave you like 50, 60 bucks a week for groceries, and then everybody had to go to the grocery store, and what you did, you pooled your money together with the other 4 or 5 guys in the bungalow, and then you had to cook and clean, all that kind of stuff. Everybody had to make their bed up. I still make my bed up every day because of that. I don't remember if I did it when I was drinking or not, but just getting some basic living skills, really. That's all we were doing. And like I said, it was a good program. But after I was there for a while, we went through groups. There's one dude there, one black guy, and I clashed with him, and he was from Chicago or somewhere up north, and he working for Amtrak, and he was pushing on me. He was trying to push my buttons, and I came across that big group room one day. I was about to kill his ass. They said there must have been 10 of them stopped me before I got to him. And they said, "You in anger management?" And I said, "Not yet, but I probably am now." And so with that being said, we started having to go to another damn group, another in which I didn't. I don't remember a lot about going to Copac. I remember going and getting in trouble with this guy Decker, and I hadn't seen him since either. That was been almost 30 years ago. But we did have fun in there. It's fun is what you make it. You can either be there and be miserable, or you can have fun and be miserable too. It doesn't matter. It's all up to you. It's all in your attitude. But I ended up leaving there that on a Friday night or Saturday night, and he had a Saturday night, and I went home. They called my sister, and she got me on the phone. "Oh, you're gonna be in and out?" I said, "No, I'm ready to go home, and I've got all I can do on this." Excuse me. I went home, and my roommate and his girlfriend, they went back out. I said, "Oh, y'all can't leave me. I just got out of treatment." I said, "You on your own." He was still drinking at that time, which we didn't remain roommates very long after that, probably 2-3 months, and I had to move him out. And so they dropped me off, so I called the guy that had kind of 12-stepped me before I went to treatment. And by the way, that guy, when he 12-stepped me, he said, "Man, if they got a bed in that treatment center, you better go, because there might not be one there tomorrow." And I got there, that was to the first treatment center. There's 12 beds open. I was like, "Damn, I could have waited till after Christmas on this, after the holidays." But it is what it is. So I called him. He said, "I recommend you go to a meeting in the morning." And my brother-in-law, he had been going to meetings. He took me to my first AA meeting where I wasn't in that controlled environment in treatment. So we go to it, and Damn, there's a lot of people there I knew. I was like, oh, damn, I didn't know these people did the same thing. But we ended up doing that. Went to that meeting. My brother-in-law was going to church. There's another guy there, Randall T. He says, I'm finna go to Dabney. You want to go with me? I got like, yeah, I ain't got nothing else to do. So I went down there, and that was the first time I felt fear of going in an AA meeting. I didn't have anybody that I knew. No, I didn't have that cushion. We walked in there, and I was like, that was hard. That was probably one of the hardest things we did. And we get in there, and I'm not in there. I'm not 2 steps in the door, and this old man comes and he looks up at me, and his glasses are way down there. He looks up like that. He goes, "You ain't got the guts to stay sober." I said, "Who's this old son of a bitch telling me I ain't got the guts to stay sober?" And he turned out to be Otis S. And he had 45 years then, and he ended up being my sponsor. And then his wife said, "We've been waiting on you." So I was like, how the hell these people know me? They didn't know me. They didn't know me from Adam. They were doing their first. That's what they told every newcomer. So we're right at about almost 8 minutes. So we're gonna call this one off today and see how it goes. You can subscribe, and if anybody wants to have a little meeting, it doesn't mind being on camera talking about sobriety, leave me some comments in below, and I'll set something up. Thank y'all very much.